Thanks for joining. Thank you, everyone. My name is Pablo Perez. I'm with Leap Global Partners, co-founder and general partner. We are a cross-border fund. Essentially, our core thesis is investing in the most talented Latino and Latina founders across the Americas. We have currently deployed about $20 million across 12 companies, and all of them have been LatinX founders. And to my right is this good-looking gentleman, Al Guerrero, with Silicon Valley Bank. I think a very consistent theme I've been hearing here has been sponsorship. And something Al has been, I feel like, known for is he's been a real sponsor for our fund. He created one of the first corporate venture funds at Technicolor. And from there, now he's helping great portfolio companies in Los Angeles area and throughout the United States help build their businesses. So today, you want to add a little bit anything else?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me and to see you guys succeed and launch your fund. And I don't know if you guys know, but Pablo and Roman have, I think, the largest seed and Series A venture capital fund that's Latino owned in the United States. So they're like true trailblazers, and quite honestly, I should be interviewing you as part of this. Like it's a real. So the sponsorship is the easy part, right? You're doing the hard work. I'm just helping around the edges, and so kudos to what you do.
Thank you.
But in terms of my role, so I focus in LA, and I focus on startups and tech companies. Silicon Valley Bank banks around 50% of all startups in the United States, and I focus specifically on direct-to-consumer companies. So a little different than some of the enterprise. Focused businesses that have been talked about today. I focus primarily or only on direct-to-consumer companies in LA.
Fantastic. So I'm trying to make this a very interactive conversation. So if you have a question, please just raise your hand. Don't scream it out. I think we have some runners running up and down, sprinting. If you don't like something we say, don't punch us, but feel free to have a conversation outside. And we want to make sure that this is, again, I think this topic has been something that a lot of people have been talking about, but not at a very large scale. So that being said, first question, where do you think LatinX technology is heading to? Do you see a lot more founders? Do you see less founders? Do you see barriers of entry? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, so again, my perspective is an LA-centric perspective, but just to kind of put a lens on that, there's 4 million residents in LA County. About half of them are Latino, so about 2 million Latinos in LA County. And I would guess that there are somewhere around 1,500 to 2,000 tech startups in Los Angeles. Again, we bank about 50% of them, so we have a pretty good grasp of what the tech landscape is. I want to do a quick poll in the audience. How many folks think that there's over 100 Latino founders at tech startups in Los Angeles? Over 100, raise your hand. 50 to 100. Oh, actually, I shouldn't raise my hand. 25 to 50. All right, 25 and below. All right, unfortunately, the ones I've identified, and again, I have a pulse on like what's happening, there's about 13 Latino founders in tech startups in Los Angeles. And so that number should be in the hundreds if we're gonna like represent proportionate to our population, a representation of the population. So that number's super low, and that's really frustrating. Yeah. So when I see people stand out, Latinos stand out like yourselves, I gravitate to you guys like crazy, and I hang on and live vicariously through you guys. And so, so even though the number is not fantastic, there are some really awesome stories of Latino founders that are succeeding. I'll bring up one example, and again, it's primarily focused on LA. There's this company called Joybird, which does made-to-order furniture, direct-to-consumer, online. Completely bootstrapped, no venture capital money. 4 founders, 2 of them are Latino, one Peruano, one Cubano. They had previous experience working at a furniture company, saw a pain point that they could sell this type of product online, moved everything to, started a new company with the 2 other co-founders, bootstrapped the company. They actually have a benefit in that they get prepaid for the furniture before they actually have to go make it. So that's like a positive working capital cycle. So they actually don't need to raise venture capital. So they owned 100% of their company, and they just sold it to Lazy Boy last year. And they're going to do quite well.
Wish you told us about that.
Oh, they didn't take any venture capital money, but so
Smart.
even though the macro story is not positive, there are these specific examples that are incredibly inspirational, and to see their hustle and motivation and eventual success is really awesome to see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's something that we have been, I guess, blessed to see within our own portfolio. Is we invested with some multiple founders that created a number of companies and even exited. So going back to your comment about why so few Latino, Latina, we call it LatinX. I mean, there's so many, there's Hispanics, there's Latino. We just call it LatinX for everyone. LatinX founders in LA. What do you think are some barriers? I think we could take that up and really extrapolate it to the whole United States.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a lack of hustle, right? I don't think it's that. My parents owned a restaurant, first generation. They immigrated from Mexico. I grew up in a restaurant, working since I was 5 years old. It's certainly not through a lack of hustle. There's an entrepreneurial spirit. I think it's consistent across all races and whatnot. I think the issue with if you have a startup, a tech startup, is you kind of have two paths. You can either bootstrap it, like the Joybird guys, and that's really hard. Most of them don't have that positive working capital cycle that allows them to not need venture capital or any capital. Many times it takes years before you get that business off the ground, and you get no income in those couple of years. That's super hard, especially for a first-generation American. You don't have a trust fund that you can rely on, right? That's super difficult. The other path, which is the more traditional path, is receiving venture capital. And venture capital, again, for those that don't know, is professional investors like Pablo and Roman who focus on investing in tech startups. And they'll invest in 20 to 25 companies. 20 of them on average fail, and 1 or 2 are going to more than make the fund and generate on average 25 to 30% annual returns. So that's kind of like the venture capital market. It's super important to the tech world. 4 years ago, the percentage of Latinos in venture capital was 1%. The percentage of Latinos in venture capital as of last year, 1%. So that number hasn't changed. And so I don't believe that we will see really lasting changes until we see the venture capital community represent the broader community at hand. And it's through efforts like yourselves and through efforts that what high tech is doing and what others are doing to really really incubate the next group of venture capitalists to really kind of break barriers and support Latino founders.
You made a great point about network. I think that's something that we try within our own fund. How do we create a very solid network? Because it is a full circle, right? We have a fund, we invest in portfolio companies, they exit, and they become their own funders or hopefully limited partners back in our future fund. How do you feel that? Why do you feel like there are not enough Latino LatinX funders right now? What do you think have been the barriers?
I think venture capital has, there's multiple paths to becoming a venture capitalist. One of them is it's like an apprenticeship, if I can say the word, where you go work at a venture capital fund and you work there for 5 to 10 years, you develop a track record, a reputation, you get to know limited partners, and then you go off and you raise a fund. Well, there's very little diversity in those established venture capital funds, right? So that's kind of path one, super difficult to do.
I don't think there's another Pablo.
I'm
really the only. I mean, I don't think there's any Puerto Rican investors. There's 3 Puerto Rican investors across the United States.
Yeah, so it's right, super difficult in the path of gaining experience at an established fund. I think there's a lot of effort being done to raise awareness, and so that's really good, but it's still like the first inning of the game. The second path is you are an entrepreneur, you have a great outcome, you have a great exit, you then use your own money to invest and show how great you are as an investor, and then you get people to want to invest in you so that you can deploy their capital. Right, so those are 2 paths that are really difficult to get to. So I think those are the 2 reasons that I think there haven't been a lot of Latinx VCs. But again, I think the key with funds like yourselves is that you will build out a team. Especially as you get bigger, your fund gets bigger, you're going to build out a team. Those individuals start learning from you. And then eventually in success, they're going to go build out their own fund as
Exactly.
well. So it's really kind of building that funnel that is really going to take some time.
Great. No, I totally agree with that. And I think that's the concept of this funnel. We're trying to fill the top of it and push them down as quickly as possible so that they later can become more founders or more investors.
Yeah.
So where do you see a lot of these LatinX founders? Do you see them in creating, enterprise technology? Do you see them creating fintech technology, consumer technology? Like, where do you see them? Do you see a trend, or they're just building whatever?
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, a founder is a successful entrepreneur. It's like and again, we've seen thousands of founders and thousands of companies. It's almost like this formula, like take an old antiquated industry. You have a lot of experience at an industry. You see a pain point. You disrupt that and solve for that pain point, leveraging your experience. And that's a recipe for success. And so what really is key is to have experience and subject matter expertise in the area that you're starting a company in. Like, I can go want to build a satellite, but like, I can't build a satellite. As much as I'm going to want to, I can't, right? So I got to have subject matter. I hear it's pretty hard.
Really hard. Yeah.
So you have to have subject matter expertise.
Yeah.
And so what we see is, whatever the pain point is, that individual, that founder has subject matter expertise. The buckets that I've seen, which are probably LA, obviously are LA centric, but kind of show that it's the LA ecosystem, are digital media. A couple companies that you know as well that are building content, digital media focused around the Latino population. Again, they worked at like Fox and other kind of established digital media companies. They have expertise. They then, build a new company. Wondery is a podcast company, which is started by Hernan Lopez, which is a Latino who was at Fox before. So seen a lot of digital media.
I want to invest in all of these companies. Wish we had more money.
So you see a lot of digital media. We see actually blockchain as well. Some interesting things happening on blockchain. And in LA, you're also seeing a lot of folks build what they call digitally native brands. And again, I focus on consumer businesses, so I'm seeing consumer startups and consumer founders. And so what's happening is, at the end of the day, there's only about like 10% of all commerce is happening online. That's going to get to like 20% relatively soon. So think of your vertical, whether that's fashion, whether that's beauty, then you build basically a product that's focused on the younger generation, the millennial, and you sell to them directly online without having to go to a retail distributor.
And they get bought by Amazon.
And then they get bought by Amazon or Walmart.
I'm a huge Amazon. I use Amazon so much. It's really crazy.
And so anyway, so those are the types of companies that we're seeing. And again, it's only limited by their imagination. And I'll give you one example. This company still blows my mind. They are so awesome. It's a Latina founder, African-American founder, so two co-founders. They're building this company called Brud, B-R-U-D, and they built, and this is very LA, but they built an artificial influencer called Little Michaela, who is Brazilian, who has 1.5 million followers on Instagram. She dropped her single today.
That's amazing.
It's on the top of the chart. She has merchandise. She
like a song.
Like a song.
That's amazing.
And she has, she is going to have like beauty products. Think of it like the Kardashians, without all the negativity of the Kardashians. And you know what? She will never age. She will be able to communicate with everyone instantaneously, one-to-many conversations, right? Because it's going to be artificially AI, backed. And so it's a new character. It's a new character. It's basically like a Disney character, but infused in the real world.
Do you know the song? Can you sing it?
I can't.
I would. I haven't here yet.
I've heard it, but I don't remember it.
Oh, man.
Maybe next year.
I love artificial intelligence. I think it was Carl that said it before, like, it makes us mathematicians look kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because before it was not cool to talk.
Well, this one is on the, and she is super hip, and like millennials love her. And she's on the cover of Vogue, and again, I couldn't have even thought of that in my brain until I heard about the company.
Wow.
And so really there is no limitation. It's a limitation of your imagination.
Are they looking for funding?
They raised from Sequoia, which is the best.
That's amazing.
One of the best venture capital funds in the United States.
We're getting there, little by little, little by little.
And then they raised another round as well. And so they are probably one of the hottest companies in LA.
I love it.
And again, Latina founder, African American founder, and I get to work with them. So it's like a dream come true for me. So
hard life you live.
Jeez,
that's amazing. Again, we wish we could invest in every single company.
Yeah.
I think that's so we're going to open up. We're trying to make this fairly dynamic. So we're going to open up a couple questions. If anyone has a burning question about innovation, build it. This guy, he's right there. Thanks.
Hey guys, my name is Mike, and I was just wondering, what do you look for in a successful pitch?
I'll let you answer this one.
So to put in perspective, last year we spoke to 1,013 companies. It was a lot. We only invested in 0.52. We wish we did 100%. It doesn't work that way. So it's not just one pitch, it's kind of multiple pitches. And I think when you're pitching, it's not a pitch, it's more like creating a relationship with an individual, because the person will essentially be championing you to get investment. So for us, usually, because we have very limited time, the best pitch is one when they understand how they're going to make money. The concept is always great, but the actual execution is better for us. So we try to coach them. It's like after we hear a pitch and they don't talk about unit economics, like cost per acquisition versus long-term value, or like margin contribution, we kind of stop them there and we coach them to say, can you please reposition your pitch to be in this specific way, so they understand. So we understand, like, well, if we put $1 in, how many dollars will come out for your business model. Also, we want someone that's very that doesn't quit, like will keep on bugging us, like all the time. So, like coupled with a very technical pitch, just the the resiliency to keep on coming at us, I think collectively makes the best pitch for us.
Yeah, just to give some color to that, there's one founder I was advising that went to Harvard Business School, God knows how much he had in loans, started a company, didn't receive funding for 2 years, lived very meager or humble life, and we just would not quit. Yeah. And has confidence when no one else has confidence, and that's a special. It is. That's a special person.
It is.
And rare.
Yeah.
But when you find them, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think I'm going to just take it a little bit further. There is, like, as a 4-time entrepreneur, 4 times, only 1 success, 3 losses. I mean, like, getting up is very hard sometimes, yeah. And I think that's what the great part of really innovation in the LatinX community is, that something that they do have a lot of is a lot of resiliency.
Hi. Oh, is it on? Yeah. Hi. My name is Alan from Microsoft, and even though I work for Microsoft, my background is in startups a lot, so this topic is very dear to me. So my question is, why do you think there are not enough Latinx founders, not only in LA but in the United States in general? And if you could share some of the demographics, like how many of them are Mexicans, how many of them are Colombians, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you want to add on the point of why there aren't Latinx founders? Because again, for me, it's like there aren't enough Latinx VCs.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have.
Absolutely, no. I think your points, everything is right. I think in addition, I'm coming from a side where I'm a mathematician, and I came from a little-known school in Claremont, that's known to be technical. And yet, although I was a technical person, I did not understand that there's a life beyond school, beyond making money as a Latinx person, right? As a Latino. And as you graduate, your only job then is to make more money for your family. So I think why there are not a lot of founders is because usually they jump into responsibility right away. There's not this, hey, why don't you try building this technology that will change the world. It's more like, okay, we as your family invest in your future. Now it's time to reinvest back to us. I'm about to, your mom or dad, your grandma is going to retire, and you're putting money back into it. I don't know if you.
No, I totally agree. I mean,
I still owe my mom debt. Jeez,
I was the
life debt forever.
I was the my siblings and I were the first ones to go to college, right? Yeah. And so when I went to college, my brother
Was it Berkeley and Stanford?
Berkeley first. But at Berkeley, they're like,
Some
you're
really
going to
small
major in
schools, right?
business.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you you major in business, you're going to get a job.
Yeah.
And it was about being very practical.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that we can do to really help kind of develop another wave of Latinx founders is getting them exposed to the tech world, getting them exposed to different jobs, being a product manager, learning about coding and engineering jobs, and getting exposure to some of these tech companies. And when they are a success, that gives them enough wealth to then take more risk and then start a company. I know people, and there's a whole wave of people in San Francisco that were at or are at Uber or Lyft, or were at Uber and Lyft, not for that much time, and they're going to be millionaires. And those people who get that, get that windfall can then take another risk.
Yeah.
There's another founder that's in LA. His name is Joe Fernandez. We were talking about him. His company is called Joy Mode, which is a subscription business to things that you don't need to own, but that you want. So think of it as like a outdoor movie theater that you want to rent for the weekend. You can order it through Joy Mode. Anyway, he had a previous startup called Clout, and he sold it for $200 to $300 million, right? So he now has a new startup, and he's told me, like, he can take the risk. Yeah. He's trying to hit a grand slam. He's not trying to hit a single because, like, that's why he's doing it, right? He has the resources to take that swing. Versus someone who doesn't have that support and is looking to pay their bills, right? Which is kind of where I would fall.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's all of us. I mean, me. Even me so.
And in terms of the makeup of the Latinx founders in LA, I would say 3 or 4 of them are Mexican. There's 2 or 3 that are Venezolanos. And then there's like 2 or 3 that are Cuban as well. So it's actually it's a pretty diverse group even within the Latinx population.
I wish there were more Puerto Ricans, but we try little by little.
Hi, so sort of Michael Montillo, Bank of America, sort of following up on that and what you talked about earlier about networking. Any advice on how those of us in industry can get into those circles and connect with those Latinx founders as potential advisors, investors, even customers? And if you want to talk specifically about LA, that's cool because I live in LA.
Are you trying to create a fund? Are you trying to create your own company?
No.
No? I mean,
absolutely.
If anyone is here trying to create their own company, I am going to be here all night long. So please talk to me first.
Thanks.
Yeah, in terms of networking, like, I think where there's a will, there's a way. And so I've been as bold to hit someone up on LinkedIn, like the founder of Siete that just raised $50 million in Austin. It's a CPG company that's focused on Latino foods. That was super cool. I hit him up on LinkedIn. I'm not in Austin. He's not going to be a client of mine, but like, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. And so like, what he did was he broke through another wall, right? And so, and then there's probably meetups. There's different organizations like that you can meet people. So I think you just gotta get out there. There's a lot of.
There's some champions too. I mean, you have Omar Viviana. You have, Al. You have everyone here. You have G. I mean, these people. I mean, when I came here, I feel like this was like the all-star of basketball. You're seeing the top people of innovation here walking around. Like, you have once in a lifetime to say, hey, do you know someone that knows someone that knows someone? I'm pretty sure they're.
That's true. I
mean, I have investors from high tech, right? So like, we're all connected in one way or another. It's just the hardest part, just asking the question.
And I would also say that people are, especially within the Latinx community, are so conditionally positive to support and to help. Like, it is, being a founder is a lonely job, and especially if you could be a client, they're going to be so happy to meet you. Like, I think it would go very well if you reached out.
We really want you to win. That is no joke. I mean, that's literally our job, is for founders and future founders to win. Any more questions? No more questions? Yes, 10 more questions? Got 2 more minutes, I think.
I think it wouldn't.
1 minute, 30 seconds now.
We're wrapping up. All right, that's
okay. That's it. No more?
Thanks, guys.
Oh, okay. That's it. Well, no more questions. Thank you, everyone.
Good job.
Thank you.